Pick up where that last video left off on this passage guide here. So we looked at church fathers. What I like to do is go ahead and click more just to get all of these out here so I can see. But these are basically structured, first of all, as the work that they're in. So this is going to be a Near Eastern material. This is going to be all the church fathers material, all of the Judaica material, all of the pseudepigrapha material, all of the Josephus material, all of the Philo material. That's how it's organized right now. If I want, I can click type, and it's now going to structure it by citation. So what citations do I have in my passage? Well, the only one that pops up is from Philo, and that is in Sobriety 8. So if I click on that, I can open Philo up, and again, I'm going to put him up here with my ancient texts, and I can read what Philo has to say and see how it's relevant to my passage here. Quotations. I've got some from the Church Fathers. I've got some from Judaica. Judaica, this is going to be basically the Babylonian Talmud. That's the B. And then the Jerusalem Talmud is the Y. I don't know a lot of these other abbreviations. These are all Babylonian Talmud. These are all Jerusalem Talmud. So I don't actually have the Talmud in here yet. That's why, if I click on this, it's going to give me a little window that's saying no resources in your library have this reference. If you want to get it, you can click here and go buy it. This is going to open it up, and I can go to the Logos website to purchase it. And I'm actually thinking about getting those at some point. But since I don't have them, they don't really help me right now. Allusions. So these are all the allusions to my passage from the Church Father. Old Testament pseudepigrapha, Jubilees 17. Here you go. And in the first year of the 5th week, Isaac was weaned in this Jubilee, and Abraham made a great banquet in the 3rd month, and on the days. So here you've got a parallel in Jubilees to your passage. Antiquities from Josephus. Again, this is ancient text, so I'm going to put it up here. Josephus. So I can just go through and click all of these and just get my background. So that's really helpful as well. Next section here, parallel passages. This is going to give you parallel passages in Scripture to verses in your passage. So Genesis 21, saying what are the parallels to that? Well, 21:9, you've got a parallel in Galatians 4:29. At that time, he who was born according to the flesh persecuted him who was born according to the Spirit. 21:10 is paralleled in 4:30, and then 21:12 is paralleled first of all in Matthew 1:2, where it talks about how Abraham was the father of Isaac, and then in Romans 9:7, Abraham's descendants through Isaac, your descendants will be named, and then in Hebrews 11:18. So that's how that works. Matthew 1 is going to parallel our passage in 21:3, 21:12, and then it also parallels a couple others here. And then you can find other biblical parallels to the Scripture that parallels one of ours. So this is just kind of a really intricate way of looking at what are all of the quotations and allusions to our passage throughout the Bible. So that's a really helpful sort of section to kind of play around with there. Literary typing, this is going to tell you what sort of literature you're looking at. So Genesis 11:10 through 25:18 is saga literature, and it's saga about Abraham. So this gives you a little definition here. The cycle of stories in Genesis centered on the patriarch Abraham. Within that huge section, we've got Genesis 17:1 through 30. Well, again, those overlap. So you've got two different kinds of literature in here, I guess. 17:1 through 37:2 is prose literature, and then within that, so these are not within each other, they're on the same level of indentation here, but then within this, 19:1 through 21:34, you have story within prose. So that all that does is it helps you understand what type of literature you're looking at. Cultural concepts is also helpful for backgrounds. This is going to pull information from your library related to different cultural ideas. So the idea of banishment, the practice of excluding someone from a community or location. It's going to give you a way to search your library for this idea. The idea of crying, deliverance, divine purpose, feast, all of that. You can do individual searches of your library for those topics. And then outlines, these are going to give you basically outlines from commentaries primarily about how your passage is structured. So let's go with, looking for one that I really like here. We can go, I guess, with, usually NAC will pop up in here, but, oh, here we go. So NAC is probably one of the better commentaries I have on Genesis in my library. So if I click on that, it's going to open NAC up to the outline over my passage here. So you can just look at how different people have outlined your passage. That's what that's helpful for. Biblical people, this is going to list the people in your passage, so Hagar, and then give references to where else Hagar is mentioned. You get some media here. Ishmael is the next person, Abraham. And this basically allows you to do character searches and dig deeper. Sarah, stuff like that, Isaac. You can, let's say you wanted to learn more about Ishmael. If you click on Ishmael here, it's going to open the fact book, and it's going to do its own sort of brief study of Ishmael where you can access even more information. So here you've got, these are different words that refer to Ishmael. So you got Ishmael, you've got Naar, you've got Yeled, Bane, Huios, Has, all those different things. You can find all the places where Ishmael acts as an agent, as a benefactive, whatever that is. Ishmael as experiencer, Ishmael as goal, Ishmael as patient, stimulus, all these different things. So this just helps you dig into characters, different people in the Bible. Biblical places, same thing, except with places now. Biblical things, same thing, except with things in the passage. Biblical events, same thing, but with events. Interactives, again, media resources, not much there, probably media collections. Atlas, nothing, music, nothing, topics. This gives you sort of a word cloud of your passage. So what are the, like you mentioned in your sermon, children mentioned 11 times in the passage. Mocking or laughing is also very frequent topic in here. If you have sermons in your library on this passage, they'll pop up here. This is going to give you some illustrations. So as you're building a sermon, you want illustrations relevant to your passage. Well, here you go. Now, most of these come from a couple books, 1,000 Illustrations for Preaching and Teaching, and the Encyclopedia of 7,700 Illustrations. But it'll give you a bunch of illustrations that are relevant to the passage that you're looking at. Interesting words, another word cloud, comparing versions, and then finally the bookstore where you can purchase commentaries that you may not yet have. And then some other media stuff here. So the passage guide here is really the bulk of the sermon prep stuff. It's what I do after my exegetical guide, and it just helps you dig into your commentaries, dig into cross-references, dig into background literature, stuff like that. So that's another helpful thing that I run. Another thing you can do, another guide if you want, you can do the Sermon Starter Guide. I don't have enough resources relevant to sermon building to make this real useful for me, but with the Platinum Library you may. So you may want to check out that and see what it gives you. Also, Bible word study. This is a great way to dig into specific words. If you want to do word studies on particular words in your passage, this is a great one for that. Topic guide, this is going to, let's say you want to do, I used this when I did the Lord's Supper communion meal that we did. I basically did a topic guide on the Lord's Supper, and it pulled up stuff from my systematic theologies, stuff from Scripture, all kinds of stuff. So these guides, these are the really helpful things to basically cull your library, or at least, search your library for things relevant to your passages. That's about it as far as sermon prep goes. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. But have fun, playing around. There are tons of tutorial videos and stuff like that on the website, and I will show you one other thing. If you're interested in learning some new features, if you go to, let's see here, try to find the page.